Every day we just strive farther and farther away from basic logic that I swear I just want to kill myself. So I'm just going to take out my anger on some demons in Doom. Want to know what brought this on? And yes, I'm going to get this out of the way first. I'm sorry I don't post much videos anymore. If you're an active person on YouTube that actually watches my videos somehow. Even though the one that probably people want to watch right now is my Rooster Teeth video, but whatever. It's the shit going on in Charlottesville, Virginia. The basic story is a bunch of white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and douchebags on the alt-right. And there's not really many of them in general, but we'll get to that later. But basically, a Robert E. Lee statue was getting removed. These guys came to protest peacefully. They weren't actually inciting violence. But then Antifa came in, per usual, started some shit. At least that's my take from it. I haven't heard so much as who started it, but I've heard some pretty bad shit go down. And honestly, it's really bad. I mean, apparently one of the protesters on the alt-right, or the white supremacists, whichever one that was, freaking ran over someone with a car and killed him. And I've even heard stuff like a couple of state police officers or something got shot down, or or something happened that their helicopter crashed and they died. And I was just like, really? What the hell? I'm like, what the hell's up with these people? I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, what has caused us to stoop this low? And this has happened, I think, a couple days ago, at least in my time. Whenever this video comes out, it'll be a good little while before I actually get this posted. But if you're watching it, I mean, congratulations. You're watching one of my videos, blah 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 blah. But anyway, going back to what I said, there's a whole starting point to this that I think that needs to be addressed, because people on the left obviously aren't going to talk about this, because, you know, not my white privilege, my social justice. It's that the social justice movement in part predicated what was going to happen with this. I mean, I had a feeling that when all these social justice warriors were going around saying that all freaking white people are all white people are racist and sexist and bigoted and homophobic and blah 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 blah, there was going to be some throwback to it from the people being criticized, which were, you know, ordinary white guys, or just some people who were just tired of the shit. And then they would be driven, and some black guy makes a good point about this, that they would be driven into white supremacist camp, because, I mean, of course, that's their schmick. Freaking. But yeah, the social justice movement gains ground, son of a bitch. Yeah, social justice movement starts to gain ground. A lot of the social justice movement keeps predicating that, oh, there's rape culture, white men are responsible for the state of the world today, even though that's not completely true. Everybody has a fair say in the world now, and everybody's fucking it up at the equal rate that it is. And I don't know why. Well, and I know why, but when all this started to gain a lot of ground, the alt-right started to rise, and it didn't really gain any traction until Donald Trump became a presidential candidate for the Republican Party. And then you had people like Richard Spencer, who's a legitimate white, not white, I don't think he's a white supremacist, but he's a white nationalist. They're going around saying all this shit. You know, a lot of radicals who supported Donald Trump, and you still do. And you just have all this shit going on, and then it finally came to a head at Charlottesville, where they're like, hey, don't take down this memorial of Robert E. Lee. Which, just to clarify, I don't disagree that that statue should be taken down. I mean, it's revisionist history, son of a bitch. Like, you shouldn't be taking shit down just because it was associated with something. At least you should keep it there as a reminder not to do this shit again. which is what leftists really don't know about. And Donald Trump, he didn't get the best response to this. I've seen blowback from the right and the left for his response to this. He condemned them, but he didn't expressly condemn them in the best way. Basically, he said, we need to stop this violence, we need to come together as Americans, and of course, leftists were like, oh, no, he's not saying anything, he's not trying to actually condemn it. It's like, he's condemning the violence on both sides. Like I said, he's not the best response he's ever given to one of these things. I wish he would have been more specific, like, in the one of the presidential debates with Hillary Clinton. Like, he could have been more graphic about abortion, like, the shit goes on during abortions, how the procedures are actually performed. He didn't go into that, which is sad, at least in the tweet. I haven't seen, like, his speech or anything on it. Of course, he has too much to worry about right now with North Korea being a little prick, as usual. And then, not only that, the president's just got his hand full right now. I think, with the shit that's on his hands right now, maybe that was the best response he could have come up with, but, you know, he's Trump. But he didn't. But he didn't screw anything up with it. But anyway, this is just a shitty situation for the entire country right now, especially if you're a guy on the right who's just sitting there like, what the fuck is this bullshit? And if you're just a reasonable person on the left who's just like, why are these people on both sides doing it? Because I'm telling you, I'm getting tired of it. I've been getting tired of Antifa ever since they first showed up at UC Berkeley to protest Milo Yiannopoulos. And we'll get to Milo Yiannopoulos being an alt-right apologist, because he is an alt-right apologist on more than quite a few occasions. He has been an alt-right apologist. But if that guy did kill someone in that car, he should be brought to fullest forms of governmental punishment. And then not only that, we needed to stop. I just don't know why the leftists are just coming up here and just fucking with shit. Especially when the rally at least was peaceful in some part. But both people on both sides are stupid. And then there's this hashtag coming out that this is not us. And then there's people posting shit like, oh, you shouldn't be surprised that this shit's going on, because I mean, this has always happened in American history. I'm just like, no, it doesn't. Okay. And then I saw another post saying that, you know what you won't see in North Korea? Nazi rallies. Which is technically true, but then again, it is a dictatorship that North Korea, I'm pretty sure, is partially inspired by. I would not doubt it in the slightest. But there's just so many stupid people on the left who are just reacting. It's like, oh, this is just right. The violence from the right is finally coming to a head or something like that. And then you just have people who aren't surprised by this violence, which is really stupid. Okay, I mean, even the Berkeley riots where the Antifa guys went up against the alt-right, but weren't nearly as bad as this. Like, this was the worst it's ever gotten, I think, for Antifa and for the alt-right. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And I'm right now I'm waiting for the Ben Shapiro show to come out so I can watch coverage of it, because he's gonna do it. But I don't have really access to any real cable news network. Well, I do have access to cable news, but I don't want to watch them. But still, there's just so much idiocy going on both sides. And so, I'm gonna read an article from the Daily Wire about really what we should be taking from this, the lessons we should learn from it, basically how we should be dealing with this problem on both sides of the aisle, even though the alt-right is technically not on the right. I've never believed them to be part of the right. I think they're a bunch of big government rich kids who just are retarded in some cases, like autistic retarded, not just retarded, autistic. But no one will diagnose them for the autism, so they just won't do it. They just, ah, shit. How am I supposed to get the store open? But anyway, Alright, article's coming up now. Okay, this is an article by Ben Shapiro, dated August 13th. That is today's date. Whenever you see this, it will be a different date, most likely. But anyway, in the aftermath of Saturday's Charlottesville, Virginia chaos, a physically violent conflict between disgusting white supremacist alt-right thugs and repulsive Antifa thugs, which culminated in a murderous attack by an apparent alt-righter on the Antifa crowd and other miscellaneous counter-protesters, resulting in the death of one person and injuries to another 19. The hot takes have been coming fast and furious. So, I mean, it's obvious. The political violence has just become so popularized. I think people were just starting to engage subconsciously in it now. Like it's something normal. Like, we're going back to the 1960s after the 1964 Civil Rights Act was put into place. But, like, there is no civil rights to be had here, and people are just rioting on both sides for no fucking reason because they're idiots. I mean, I'm just like, why? Please, just stop doing what you're doing. It really makes me mad that people are doing this stuff on both sides of the aisles. But the point I want to get to before I continue with the article is how majorly the progressive left has actually helped culminate the events here. I mean, this is a lot of this is their fault. I mean, they pushed away whites that either want to help or are largely undecided on the issues sometimes, and then sometimes they'll just get pushed into this camp that says, hey, join the alt-right or join a white supremacist rally or something. And they'll be more inclined to believe them and believe what they're saying because they'll actually accept them for what they are, which is a straight white man or maybe a gay white man if you're in Milo Yiannopoulos, which is probably why he's so much of an alt-righter. But I mean, you have to acknowledge it. A lot of this isn't part of progressive left's fault. Alright, and if you're a white supremacist, this is also your fault too for helping perpetuate the violence, which is in and of itself done by your own stupidity. And I just don't understand it. You've had people like Emma Watson turning SJW, basically blaming the wage gap and rape culture. Then you've had these radical feminists. You have more radical feminists coming out, and the SJWs coming out. You have things like Gamergate, blaming men and the male gaze, whatever that is, for stigma in the video game industry, the movie industry. And you're just getting... And then this whole thing with Google was a load of bullshit because Google is fucking more SJW than they ever have been. And then they just fire a guy for basically saying in a really moderately toned memo, hey, women and men are scientifically different. But then Google's like, no, we're just going to fire your ass because this doesn't agree with us. And he basically made a point in there that women are more... It made a point in the memo that women are more emotional than men. And then, just to prove his point, a bunch of freaking women from Google actually took the day off because they felt unsafe. I'm like... But yeah, anyway. Straight white males are being pushed away from every fabric of life. You have BLM fucking things up per usual because they're BLM. The alt-right isn't helping either. Sadly, though they could have been a potential force for good, but no. You had to fuck it up. Like, you had to fuck it up. I mean, yeah, they had to be pro-Trump, but more lefty than they are conservative. I mean, and Richard Spencer, he's on the alt-right. He's no conservative. He doesn't like the Constitution at all. Not only that, they express disdain for a lot of American values, and they want to go to the eugenics type of genetic stuff, which is not good. because genetics is an evil ideology in and of itself. So anyway, alright, let me get to the article. The alt-right is not conservative. One of the hottest takes from the left is that the alt-right represents the entire right because, you know, they're the ones who promulgated Trump to getting a victory. Like, they helped Trump become legitimate and a loved political figure, even though he was already a loved figure before he ever really became got put majorly into politics. I mean, he was largely just a typical, he used to be just a typical lefty, like, celebrity. And he had his own show called The Apprentice, and he was pretty big in life, and he actually gotten accolades from several pro-black people, like what's his name? Jesus, I can't remember his name. But anyway, he got a lot of support from people who in the modern day would be pretty SJW. But anyway, I mean, yeah. So I mean, the left automatically thinks that if you like Trump, you're automatically a white supremacist or something, which is really stupid, idiotic, and basically ignoring the truth of why Trump became popular in the Republican Party, and to the alt-righters who were on the Democrat Party who switched just for him. Because you have to acknowledge, people on the left were getting tired of their shit too. So I mean, come on. Alright. So anyway, entire alt-right represents the entire alt-right. That is exactly what happened in Charlotsville, Virginia, badly. That's factually incorrect and intellectually dishonest. The alt-right is not just conservatives who like memes or dislike Paul Ryan. The alt-right is a philosophy of white supremacy and white nationalism espoused by the likes of Vox Day, Richard Spencer, and Jared Taylor. They openly acknowledge their antipathy for the Constitution and conservatism. They believe that strong centralized government is necessary to preserve white civilization. They label all their enemies cucks, men in favor of race mixing. Here's a solid guide to, oh, well, that's all I need to know. Alright, 2. The alt-right has successfully created the impression that there are lots of them. There aren't. It's just like, you know, during Hillary Clinton's failed campaign that, you know, there are people on the left who, at least the big leftist media news sites like CNN and MSNBC, post pictures and videos of her rallies, and they would do it like really close to the crowd, but there wasn't that big of a crowd. Like if you took the camera back just a little bit, you would see that there was almost no people there. And I think that's the same with the alt-right. I don't think the alt-right is particularly big. It's just like with the liberal left and social justice lefties, or at least when they come out and riot and shit, but there's not a lot of them. It's just a big few who just like to screw things up, and the people who scream the loudest generally become more, you know, recognized for their shit. It's really, really disgusting that so many people are just really going back to identity politics, because identity politics is the reason all this shit happened. Like, if we didn't have identity politics screwing up the basic fabric of American society, everything would be good. And they're actually doing, in part, a favor to people who want to divide America and actually who want to destroy America, like our enemies in the South. Well, not the South. Our enemies in, you know, basically the world sphere. They're weakening America on the scale, the fact that the citizens are loyal to them. That's not what's happening here. I mean, that is what's happening here. There's a lot of talk saying that we could be in a second civil war right now. And honestly, I'm getting more and more inclined to believe them. And I just really don't know what to think about this anymore. And some black guy in his video about Charlotsville, he made an excellent, very excellent point about this. He said it used to be you were judged by the content of your character. Now you're judged by the content of your race. Yeah, it's like you're not judged on the content of your character anymore. You're only judged by your race. That's really what identity politics has boiled everything down to ever since Obama's presidency, basically. Because it used to be that not Obama's presidency, and before Obama's presidency, race relations were slowly and surely starting to get better. Like when it was Obama's presidency, it got to a skyrocketing low. Like you go to hell. Like you just take a rocket, you shoot it up into space. Since the 1960s, that's basically what you represent, the high point of race relations up before Obama. Then you go to Obama, it goes down and it goes straight to hell. That's literally what happens with race. That's literally what has happened with race relations today, and it's so annoying. And then you have shit like Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin cases, which were rightfully decided, even though Trayvon Martin thing, George Zimmerman was following him, which was an idiotic thing on Zimmerman's part, but Trayvon Martin acted really stupidly by punching the shit out of him and assaulting him, basically to the point where he could have died. And then Michael Brown's case, Michael Brown reached into a cop's car and tried to take his gun. He's like, what cop wouldn't shoot that son of a bitch? And then you have Black Lives Matter come up from the start of it. And it used to be that... And I wasn't really of the impression that Black Lives Matter was really doing anything, because I could tell they were spouting bullshit when I was watching them on the news when I was 14 years old. And I've been watching the news a lot since before... Well, probably just when the 2008 election was really heating up. There was just so much bullshit going around, and I was just getting so tired of it that it basically kept me from the news for a long time. Up until Donald Trump was starting to become big on the news stage. It was basically 2015 that brought me back into politics. But, I mean, just watching this shit go down with race relations is really idiotic. It's just idiotic, it's stupid on both sides. And I don't mean the both sides as in the right, I mean the alt-right, which isn't conservative, and probably not even close to conservatism at the least. Like, the whole thing is just stupid. I mean, I hate it, I want it to die, and I want everyone who was at that rally on both sides to get arrested. They deserve it. They deserve to get their asses arrested. I mean, if you're gonna get anything else done in Charlottesville, you're gonna want to arrest those sons of bitches. So anyway, let's continue on with the article. Thanks to the hard work of alt-right apologists like Milo Yiannopoulos, the widespread reception has been created that the alt-right movement is a movement on the rise with a fast increasing number of devotees. The media has glued onto the alt-right in order to smear the entire conservative movement with it. The alt-right is quite active online, according to the Anti-Defamation League, where Ben was their top journalistic target and the most targeted journalist of anti-Semitism. Like, he was targeted so much just for being a Jew and for being a journalist. They fill up the comment sections at sites like Breitbart, and they email spam, and they prank call people, and they live on 4chan boards, but the vast majority of the alt-right anti-Semitic tweets came from just 1,600 accounts. That's not that many. To be honest, that isn't that many. Thanks all over to their online ferociousness, I think. I don't know why I'm being stupid. They convinced members of the Trump campaign, apparently including the president, that it was important not to knock them. 3. The alt-right has been tut-tutted by President Trump and his advisors for over a year. Yesterday was nothing new. President Trump's initial response to the attack made no mention of the alt-right or white supremacist or even racism. He simply suggested we condemn in the strongest possible terms the egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. It has been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. It has been going on for a long, long time. It has no place in America. Okay. Yeah, now I can see where people's criticizing him here. He's not really calling anybody out. He's just saying we just need to unite and shit, which is okay, but that's, to me, sounds like more of a lefty tweet than anything. Trump, who has been fully willing to call out radical Islam, has nothing to say about the alt-right. Some Trump defenders pointed out that Barack Obama never condemned Black Lives Matter in the wake of riots and shootings of police officers either. But Barack Obama was wrong, and his wrongness is not an excuse for Trump to sit by and do nothing. Very, very, very true. Okay? I remember when Black Lives Matter was getting really, really to its peak during the presidential election, and how... And then the entire thing with the Dallas police officers. I live in Texas, okay? My stepdad's a cop. So, I mean, watching the news coverage that unfolded, there was a lot of media coverage on the left that was saying, oh, this wasn't Black Lives Matter's fault and bullshit like that. Like, it was just... And they was just simply reacting because of police violence and stuff like that. And it was a peaceful protest. I believe it was a peaceful protest up until that point. But I think that protest had a lot wrong with it, just for a lot of reasons, because Dallas police chief was black at the time. I don't know if it's the same guy right now, because I haven't really kept up with Dallas much since then. But Dallas police chief was black. He had been really working hard to clean up Dallas, considering his own son was killed by a police officer before he ever became really interested in the police force. And he said one of the main reasons that he joined the police force was to stop things like what happened to his son. And he did a good job of it. He lowered Dallas's crime rate, which is more than you can say about any other modern American big city right now that deals with violence like that. Like Chicago is probably is the worst city in America. Like, so much killing that goes on there every day. There's so many people killed there every day. The worst city in America. And then you have people like their mayor, Emmanuel, whatever the hell his last name is, we're basically saying that, oh, Chicago's just a safe place for you. I'm like, my ass. Like, do you not know what the fuck goes on in your city? And Barack Obama freaking praised Chicago a lot. And then just recently, there was this stupid thing in Baltimore about don't kill anybody for 24 hours, which is stupid. No one's going to obey that. Like, you're just going to have a rally for don't kill anybody for a few days or something? Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, there's no way in hell anybody, especially if they're a gang member, is going to listen to you if you're going to start saying shit like that. Alright. And then Barack Obama, in that speech he gave in Dallas, right after George W. Bush gave a really, really excellent speech on it. I know a lot of people like to criticize him for his not so good vocabulary, but you got to admit, he said shit that needed to be said. Barack Obama did it. He also came up with not only being egregiously stupid in the way Barack Obama toned his words, he couldn't resist from making it a conversation about politics. I mean, no, not about politics. He couldn't risk. He just had to make a conversation about guns. Like, he just had to draw in gun control to it, because of course he is. He's Barack fucking Obama. And he said, you're going to flood our streets with so many guns that it's easier to buy an Uzi than it is a Glock. Well, it's easier to buy an Uzi and a Glock than it is to buy a book or a computer. And I'm like, bitch. Okay, the computer I might actually believe, because there are some pretty expensive fucking computers out there. But a book, you can go to Barnes & Noble and get a book for like $4 there. Well, not Barnes & Noble, Second and Charles. You can get a book at Second and Charles for like $4 fucking bucks. So just sitting there and watching Obama do that shit was really insulting to the family of every person who is a police officer and the families of actual police officers and the police officers' families and the families of the police officers who died there. Like, it was... Obama was just so idiotic. Like, I just could not really tell what he was trying to do. Was he trying to help the city mourn? Or was he trying to be a social justice lefty and not an actual president? And Trump is basically going to walk right into the Democrats' hands, because Obama walked right into the right's hands when he didn't condemn Black Lives Matter. He actually gave them an audience at the White House, which I thought was the stupidest thing any president has ever done. You give a terrorist group, a group, at least in my opinion, a terrorist group, an audience with you, giving you demands, and then you start caving into those demands, like doing shit like diversity training. This is one of the reasons why politics is so polarized. No one's going to get anything done. This is one of the things my shop teacher told me when the election season was getting pretty hot. He said, if Trump gets elected, there ain't going to be much done. Like, it's just not. And he was partly right. Republicans aren't doing shit right now. Like, at all. And it's sad that they're not. I mean, they're getting rid of some things in Obama's legacy that needed to be dealt with. But we're not dealing with the shit that needs to be dealt with. We're not getting rid of Obamacare like we were promised. We're not stopping, basically, the social justice left and Antifa. We're not helping protect free speech. We're not doing any of that. We're basically caving into some of the left's demands. We're not building a border wall either. We're not enforcing... We're trying to enforce immigration, but we're just caving into Democrats' commands. To the people like Elizabeth Warren and such. So anyway, let me keep going. On Sunday morning, the White House used an unnamed spokesperson to release a statement. An unnamed White House official says Trump condemns all forms of hatred, and of course that includes white supremacists, KKK, and neo-Nazis. This was a tweet from Caitlin Collins. And why didn't Trump just come out and say it himself? Because he has tutted the alt-right throughout his presidential campaign, which is true. He refused point blank to condemn the KKK. And I criticized him for it. Hold on. Yeah, Trump has painted himself into a corner with the KKK thing. Like, he didn't come out outright and say and condemn the KKK when they endorsed him, which is something really idiotic. And then when President Reagan, he had a much better response to this. When he was endorsed by the KKK, he came out and he outright destroyed the KKK. Like, he was saying he was basically calling them out on all their bullshit. But then, you know, the 80s were a time when Democrats thought Reagan was gonna, you know, start a war with Soviet Russia. Basically the same thing they're doing with Trump right now. But Trump isn't doing anything like Reagan, alright? Reagan was nicknamed the Great Communicator. For good reason. Reagan was a great communicator. He knew how to get his message across to people on the right and the left because he used to be a Democrat. But Trump is not doing things like Reagan, alright? When Trump was elected, I honestly wanted him to be Reagan incarnate. Not only in the way he talked, even though that's ironic, because right now he's just not really putting things in word very good. Like, he repeats the same old gibberish. He keeps talking sensationalist, which is not good, especially if you're trying to get your point across. And he's just screwing up so much when he speaks. Like, he's doing a heck of a lot worse than George W. Bush did when he was speaking as president. Even though I think George Bush still had messages that he could get across pretty well. Just the left kept attacking him on a regular basis, and it was annoying. Especially as a kid when I was watching, not only watching the news back then, the fact that he was a president that was born in Connecticut, and he lived and was governor of my state of Texas. Alright, so I had state pride to do with it there, and it just got to the point where I was just like, can you just please, all of you, shut up? Then when it came to the campaign, when I was a kid, I was a Ron Paul guy. I mean, I didn't even have to know his views. I just looked at Ron Paul and was like, this dude's awesome. I want to vote for him. But still, Trump just will not keep his mouth shut, and when he has things that he needs to be said, won't do it. It just won't do it, and it's really unfortunate. So, what's the lesson that we should take away from this? In my opinion, I think the lesson... Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry, I like hearing those monologues from the Doom people, from the demons in Doom. Like, there's one thing you can give Doom, is that they make a really good environment for hell. But anyway, big lesson that we can take away from this is that identity politics just needs to die. Like, identity politics in general just dies. It needs to die here and now. If it doesn't die here and now within the next next 3 years of Trump's presidency, America's not going to get better. At the very least, we need to start actually stumping these people on the right and the reasonable left to actually start getting rid of and weeding out racists on both sides of the aisle. And I admit, there are some racists that are actually on the right, but there's a lot of racists on the left too. It doesn't matter what skin color they are. It doesn't matter what creed. It doesn't matter what nationality. Alright, you have racists on both sides, and it's just really freaking annoying. Like, I just want to kill myself, because it's all gotten so bad. Like, it's actually making me want to be Duke and I. Like, I just go to the halls of the U.S. Senate. Not really. No, I don't want to finish. That could get me in trouble. Well, yeah. But we could just do the, yeah, one of my favorite quotes from, Freedom Tunes. It's like, why don't we just outsource Congress to China? That sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. Yeah. But, seriously, everyone just needs to shut up. Get rid of the racists on both sides. We'll have a lot better political discussion. And maybe, just maybe, we can get out of this without going to war with North Korea. Because it seems that the left also is siding with North Korea over Donald Trump, because the left are a bunch of fucking idiots who don't know what the hell they're doing and have no knowledge that this is their monster. That North Korea is the monster they have created. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to keep it informative. I'll have links down below so you can see shit. And anyway, I will see you guys later. So bye. I got demons to kill.